Hey everyone, welcome to Nerding IO. I'm JD, and today we're going to go through a customer support AI agent where we're using LangGraph and Portkey, the renderer API, so that we can actually do prompt management. With that, let's go ahead and get started. All right, so first things first, we're actually going to use the LangGraph multi-agent supervisor. This is actually a pre-built AI agent that we can actually leverage. So they have a pretty good way to go about installing this. It's just a simple npm. They also have pre-built for Python as well, but I've been sticking with TypeScript lately. So we're going to actually go through, and very similar to how it's creating these React agents, we're actually going to make React agents that mimic a customer support bot. But one of the things that I always want to include is have an AI gateway. And so my gateway of choice is Portkey. It's super flexible and you can port it to multiple different SDKs. So they actually have a good getting started page as well on different AI agents and what we're going to do and how to include it into LangGraph. One of the key things that I love about Portkey is like the ability to quickly ramp up reliability. So you can actually load in load balancers, you can have different targets, you can include all different kinds of parameters, you can manage all your prompts, as well as it has observability and metrics built in. But one of the things that I noticed is even on this example, there's no way to actually take their prompt management tool and integrate it into LangGraph. The other thing that's missing, at least in the TypeScript SDK, is that it doesn't have this ability to log traces in AI agents. So this is one of the benefits if you wanted to go with Python. You can actually log all of the steps in your trace. So we're going to go through, though, in Node.js, how do we actually load the prompts that we're using in the Portkey prompt management tool? And we can do that with something they released called Prompt Renderer. So this is an API where we can actually hit and we'll be able to connect our Portkey instance and be able to pull down our prompts based on what we have in our management system. With that, let's go ahead and jump into it. Real quick, this is another project that I'm working on. It's a Firebase and Next.js starter kit that comes with AI-powered apps. And so what this allows you to do is get up and running with Firebase, Next.js, and GenKit, as well as pre-built AI components. So some of the things that I focused on were the ability to actually start with AI first mindset and built-in prompt instructions so that you can actually build new features, build new blog posts, build documentation, and actually integrate directly into a chatbot that is built with a chat interface as well as content generation and different prompts. So if you sign up now, there's actually a discount going on where you can get 90% off, and this will fluctuate by this also comes with a social proof, which allows you to do dynamic discounts. Right now we're offering 90% off. So definitely check it out, and don't forget to like and subscribe. All right, so before digging into the code, what we're going to do is just look at a quick demo. So if we do npm run, we're going to see that we get a terminal, and it's just going to show the questions that we're asking. So we're going to ask questions that are related to either the product, the pricing, the shipping, or the brand, and then just general support. This is all used, each one of these is a different agent, and each one has access to different tools. So what we're going to do is we're going to see how the agent actually works. When we ask it the question, it's going to actually go through a different conversation flow that we're kind of outputting. So again, we have not only do we have access to these agents, but we're actually sending different prompts to those agents in order to be able to be more explicit. This gives us the added benefit of allowing other people to go edit the prompts without actually editing the code. And so as you can see, as the supervisor is going through, it actually finds that it has access to a tool and the shipping information, and it's going to then respond back, and the customer service agent is going to say, here are the shipping options for New York. So let's take a look at how this is actually operating. Again, we're using the LangGraph pre-built agent, and we're going to set that up as well as integrate into our into Portkey. So as you can see here, where this part is actually controlling the terminal, we're loading in Portkey, but then we're also loading in a prompt loader, and I'll actually explain what I'm doing there. The rest of this is actually building out the agent. All the way down here, this is still doing the terminal interface, and then we'll be connecting directly to our agent. So when we look at the supervisor, this is where we're actually creating our LangGraph implementation. So you can see we have our memory saver, in-memory store. We're actually going to initialize all of the agents that we have access to. We're going to say that we have a supervisor. We're going to create those agents. And then we're going to, right here, you can see the prompt as well as the output mode. We want to get all of our information. We're also going to configure all of our other agents, and by doing that, we're actually going to create different LLMs for each of the models. And the reason that I wanted to try that is I just wanted to see, could I send different models to it, and can I have different traces for each one of those agent models. The only thing that we need to do in order to implement the Portkey portion of this is we're just going to tell it that we want to look for the Portkey gateway. We're going to create these headers, and then just like we always do with OpenAI or with LangGraph and our LLM, is we're going to pass all of that configuration in. So we don't actually change the call that we need to in order for the LLM. Once we have all of that set up, we'll take a look at our special agents. So each one of these agents is what we talked about, where we have product, we have pricing, shipping, etc. And then we are creating our React agent. Again, these are pre-built agents. We're going to pass in our tools. We're passing in our models like we just saw. We're saying what our name of it is. And then we have our prompt, which we are actually going to load from our product. So we'll take a quick look at tools, what they kind of look like. There's different tools that we have about like product information. So what kind of products do you have? What kind of tool information, or I'm sorry, the ability of those, so we can check to see, again, if we have a quantity of a smartwatch or what the quantity of a smartphone will be. So all of these tools we're going to pass to different agents so that those specific agents can actually be the most explicit on getting this information and specialized. Lastly, again, if we go to this prompt load prompt portion, what's happening here is this is actually where we're going out and calling Portkey so that we can specifically call the prompt renderer API. So I did it this way, which is maybe a little more complicated, but I wanted a fallback so that if I called Portkey or there was some error, or maybe I put in a template incorrectly or I was changing it, then I could actually fall back to the constants of what these prompts are. But again, as these constants are constant, I can't change any variables, or someone would need to come in and manually put information in here. And so what I want to do is do that dynamically. So right here, all we're doing is we're saying check and see if the prompt ID actually exists. If it does, then great. We're going to continue on and actually render the prompt right here. So again, the cool thing is this is just an API. We have our prompt ID, which we're getting from our environment variable, which is mapped up here. And then we are actually going through and generating the prompt. So what's happening is when you pass the variables in, those can get injected. You get a response. Based on those response, you get your prompt right here. Or we're doing like data messages, but if there is the data prompt, which is what we're expecting in this instance, then we're actually going to return the prompt to be used in our LangGraph. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like in Portkey. If we go over here and we actually look at our supervisor prompt, we can see that we have everything here. Someone can log in, make changes. Once they make a change, we can actually update. It'll give us like a little like description automatically, and we have where all of our prompts are versioned. You can also see a history of your prompts. I also would like to organize them so that we have ones for supervisor, pricing, and product. And you can change the foundational models if you want. But as you saw in the code, we can actually overwrite those, or you can make this part of a configuration, which again is one of the reasons that I really like Portkey. And so this allows us to then take these prompts and actually look at our logs of what's coming back through the system. So when we actually go in, we're seeing that the system object, it was object, which was JavaScript, but we're coming in and we're seeing the tool execution that's actually happening, as well as the information getting passed. So here's the assistant, so we can actually see all the information that is being discussed here in our logs. The other cool thing is that it's taking these tools that we defined in our code and actually showing it in the request details of how we're actually executing through this, and again, giving us our final response. Again, we're seeing like different calls being made specifically to our agent. All right, everyone, that's it for us today. What we went through was a Node.js implementation of LangGraph agent, and we built out the prompt management solution using Portkey. With that, happy nerding.